Well, we are continuing with our next story, and it's no secret that when it comes to the Baltics, we are very competitive. Whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, whether it's Eurovision, right? Or maybe it's just running in Riga Marathon, we do love our competition, and that drives us forward also in business. And we compare each other a lot, but I think that's with a good thought in mind. We have to grow and grow as a unit because the Baltics, well, we are as big as we are. But at the end of the day, it's all about growth. It's all about sharing examples and the lessons learned, and that's why our friends from Estonia are here today as well to share the deep tech ecosystem funding story, Fuel for the Frontier, per se. So let's welcome on our stage the acting Undersecretary for the Economics and Innovation at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications from Estonia, Sigrid Rajala. Welcome, Sigrid. A round of applause to you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's really nice to be here. Yes, we did not do very well in Eurovision this time, hoping to do better next time. But, I'm a true believer that competition is something that drives us further, and competition is necessary, even amongst the neighbors. My name is Sigrid Rajala, as introduced. I'm the acting Undersecretary for Economics and Innovation, but truly I identify myself as a senior innovation policy designer. I've been doing policy design, as one might say that, for quite some time right now in Estonia. So I'm quite proud to have quite good knowledge about the Estonian innovation policy. And actually, this morning, my husband reminded me that exactly today, 3 years ago, I defended my PhD when I looked into how universities and companies can work together. So I think I know what I'm talking about. Estonia, yes, well, Estonia is one of those countries who is known and who is also boasting about being digital. So we have all of our governmental services are digitalized right now. The companies are not that well digitalized, but also doing efforts on that scene. But first and foremost, our unicorns that we have per capita quite a lot, all of their business models have been based on digital technologies. So we've done that, but now we see that, and also our startup ecosystem is actually maturing. So we've seen quite a lot of exits. There's this Skype effect, where former employees of Skype and former founders have done exits, and now they're looking into investing themselves or setting up new companies. And when talking to the ex-founders or some of the investors, they kind of want to do or invest into technologies that are not the same that they've done so far. So they are looking towards deep tech or other kind of tech, because deep tech is not a vertical, it's very heterogeneous. And me and my colleagues doing the policy development, we've also come to realize that we need to focus some of our efforts towards supporting and incentivizing deep technology. We can call it science-based, we can call it technology intensiveness, we can call it, I don't know, deep tech, whatever. But the main idea is that, and I'm a true believer of deep tech, but the main idea is that deep technology is here to stay. Why? Because there are so many wicked problems before our societies. Be that about saving the planet. So we need different kind of materials, science solutions for global sustainability, for climate change, all that kind of stuff. I'm not even gonna go into energy stuff, because anything to do with manufacturing and storing energy, well, we are in this region, we understand what it means. So we need new technologies in that sense as well, and not only here, but the rest of Europe as well. And of course, defense. I think this is where the Baltic states have a common DNA, the understanding that defense is something that we need to invest only, not in terms of, let's say, the ammunition and the usual hardware, but also investing into innovation. And we in Estonia, we have, of course, realized that as well with all the war in Ukraine and the need to put forth quick developments, be that drones or other kind of technologies, to make sure that we are resilient to further shocks coming in the future. So anything to do with autonomous unmanned systems, anything to do with AI-driven security for the safer world. And these are only some of the, let's say, some of the needs that the society is facing, and what's the common in all of these needs is the fact that they need new technology. Of course, I have to make a disclaimer, technology will not be the only one solving these problems, because I don't know if you recall the putting the man on the moon mission, right? You've heard about it? It was simple. Why? Because you had a dedicated team working on technologies, working on how to adapt them and going to moon, and you did not have to worry about people changing their behaviors. But these kind of wicked problems need people changing their behaviors as well. The fourth wave, what does it mean? Perhaps some of you have seen the Hello Tomorrow report. I think it was a few years back, where they explained all the waves. So we are now on the verge of the fourth wave, called the deep tech wave, for all the reasons that I just explained. But the first wave was the Industrial Revolution. The second wave was where innovation spread into large corporations like IBM and Xerox. And the third wave is kind of what we are in right now. It was a phase where innovation spread all throughout the society. It was the birth of startups. It was the birth of venture capital investments. And now, as I said, we are on the verge of the fourth wave, the deep tech wave. Metrics. Rockstar equals deep tech. So in Estonia, we think that deep tech is going to be the next rockstar. And well, we are high believers of key performance indicators and all kind of data. So just a quick snapshot of some of the metrics. Last year, a bit more than half of venture capital investments went into deep tech in Estonia. And it's not only, of course, our finance ministry is very interested in, of course, there's this cost, but what about the gain? So we also look at how much taxes do these companies pay, and we saw a growth, 25 compared to 24 years. There was a growth in labor tax payment as well. And here is a quick snapshot of the investment dominance of how the deep tech has gained prominence. Well, actually looking more back into European-specific data, back in 2021, 22, 2023, when venture capital investments dropped, like really dropped, we saw that the drop all over the startup ecosystem, regardless of the technology, was about 45 to 55%. But when we looked into deep tech, the drop was approximately 22%. So we can say that deep technology developments are probably a bit more resilient to different kind of shocks that the rest of the world might feel more terribly. Deep tech. Do you know the concept of European paradox? It's actually a concept that was coined already in the 1990s. And it goes something like this, that Europe is good in making research out of money, but not good in making money out of research. So this is the all-known valley of death. We have the scientific ideas, we have excellent researchers, we have good talent, not only in Estonia, not only in the Baltics, but in Europe as a whole. I think we have to look a bit like from the larger perspective. But scaling from lab to market has been a challenge in Estonia as well for quite some time. As I said, there are the ideas, but how to make them market-ready products. I don't know if there are any researchers in the audience I hope I'm not kind of offending you when I say this, but from Estonian perspective at least, our research is very academic, and it's rooted heavily in how researchers do their research, and it's all perfectly okay, and they need to do that. But now, when I think of the next multi-financial framework, for instance, that European Commission is drafting, when I look at Estonia's challenges, we see that we need to do something differently, like radically differently, to make to bridge the valley of death, to make the scaling from lab to market an actual possibility. Looking at the time, I think I will kind of skip this, but just very briefly, when we design policies, we need to be mindful of what we are doing. We need to have continuous monitoring using real-time tax records, for instance. Another of my teams is working on real-time economy. I think we can benefit in deep tech from this as well. We need constant ecosystem feedback. In the beginning of this year, we brought together a group of founders and investors in Estonia to advise my minister, the Minister of Economics and Industry, to give real-time feedback, because, I mean, if you think about AI is doing developments like so fast. I mean, today you are using one generation, maximum 2 months later you are using another. And the interventions, they have to be targeted. I mean, launching specific programs, regulatory sandbox, if I have a few minutes, I will talk about it a bit. That's the work in progress we are working on right now. Startup visa, scale-up visa, they need to be targeted. Quite recently, I think it was last week, our parliament adopted amendments to the Foreigners Act, allowing scale-up companies to attract talent more quickly. But one of the most recent news, perhaps, from Estonia is what we call Deep Tech Network, or Deep Tech Program, whatever you call it. The main idea is that we have 2 science-parks, one in the capital, Tallinn, and the other in Tartu, the university town, and 3 of our main universities to put together a proposal what kind of interventions they see they have to do to make sure that out of universities, new deep tech startups are being born. It took them a year to work on that proposal, but they did it. We, as policy designers, we saw that it could work. And there's a picture of a minister and all the representatives from universities and science parks agreeing upon this network. And so in 4 years' time, they will have to deliver specific, let's say, targets. Specific metrics is there, and they have started working on this concept quite heavily, so I'm really proud, really good to see them all collaborating together. Collaboration is also sometimes, well, it takes some time to collaborate between some people, but they're doing great. And yeah, here's just some, as I said, we are high believers of key performance indicators, some of the target goals that we have mapped here. The ideas, the pre-incubation team number, and finally the market-ready startups. And here are some of our global success stories. If I have some time, I would like to just tell you about another initiatives that I don't have on the slide here, but we are working on designing experimentation framework. I don't say regulatory sandbox, I say experimentation framework, but the idea is the same. We would like to allow technology-intensive companies to be able to experiment, to test in a safe space, to show that their technology is not harmful or hurting anybody. The Starship is a perfect example here in the middle picture. Back a few years ago, when Starship wanted to test their delivery robots on the streets, on actual environments, they were not able to do that because our traffic law didn't foresee any vehicle driving around not having a driver. Okay, so they were illegal when they would have been illegal putting their robots on the streets. So how they solved it? They recruited back then. They recruited some of the university students. So instead of walking a dog, the students walked a robot. But in the end of the day, they proved their technology is not harmful, and the lawmakers, regulators changed the law as well, and all is good. But to enable to not put companies in the same position again, that's why we are designing this experimentation framework. It's a quite challenging process for us as well. It's a two-step process, but we hope to show you results perhaps next year. And finally, the key takeaways that perhaps I would like to give from me to you. Deep tech, I believe, is the next rock star. I'm, as I said, true believer that this is the next innovation wave, and we have to make sure that we are on that wave. The ecosystem alignment is also necessary because in this deep tech there are new players in the ecosystem, and we have to welcome them. We have to embed them to make sure that we actually make the most of this wave. And public-private synergy, state investments, utilizing to de-risk and catalyst. So we do, I'm sure all of your, wherever you're from, your countries, your governments are designing different grants, financial instruments, equity investments, stuff like that. But we need to go deeper. So we need to look if we are really incentivizing what we want to incentivize. And well, let's build a deep tech future together, because it is a challenging area, but together, not only the Baltics, but I think the new Nordics can make it work and can make it like a real talent and capital attracting hub here. Thank you.
Well said, Sigrid. A round of applause. Sigrid Rajala, thank you very much for being here with us in Riga.